Safeguard your golden years. 4 personality types to avoid for a peaceful retirement. Retirement. It's the time we've all worked towards. A time for relaxation, enjoyment, and pursuing passions. But sometimes, well-meaning seniors find their golden years tarnished by individuals who drain their energy, resources, and happiness. In this video, we'll discuss 4 personality types to avoid in your retirement if you want to protect your peace and well-being. These aren't necessarily bad people, but their behaviors can be incredibly detrimental to your retirement experience. Knowing how to identify and navigate these personalities can save you from years of stress and regret. So let's dive in and learn how to safeguard your golden years. Number 1. The boundary blurrer. These individuals haven't grasped the concept of personal space, either physically or emotionally. They operate on a different wavelength when it comes to social cues and respecting the invisible lines that define individual territories. Picture your retirement, a time carefully crafted for peaceful pursuits and personal enjoyment. Suddenly, this carefully constructed sanctuary is invaded by someone who doesn't recognize the sanctity of your boundaries. They might drop by unannounced, assuming their presence is always welcome, their visit stretching far beyond the limits of a polite social call. They might even use a key you gave them for emergencies, transforming a gesture of trust into a tool for intrusion. Their actions often come cloaked in a veil of helpfulness, making it incredibly difficult to establish boundaries without feeling like you're rejecting their kindness. They might rearrange your furniture under the guise of making things more comfortable, offer unsolicited advice on your finances, peppered with thinly veiled criticisms of your spending habits, or even attempt to dictate your social calendar, filling your time with activities you have no interest in. Imagine finally having the freedom to pursue your lifelong passion for painting. You've set up a dedicated studio in your home, a space where you can lose yourself in the vibrant world of color and creativity. A boundary blurrer, however, sees this space as an extension of their own, popping in frequently to admire your work, offering unsolicited critiques and suggestions that chip away at your artistic confidence. Instead of feeling inspired and invigorated in your creative sanctuary, you begin to feel monitored and judged, your artistic flow disrupted by their constant presence. Or perhaps you've looked forward to spending your retirement traveling, exploring new cultures and landscapes. You meticulously plan your itineraries, savoring the anticipation of each adventure. A boundary blur might inject themselves into your travel plans, suggesting destinations you have no desire to visit, offering to book accommodations without your consent, or even inviting themselves along, transforming your solo journey into a shared experience you never envisioned. The very idea of exploring the world becomes tainted by their intrusive presence, robbing you of the independent exploration you craved. This blurring of boundaries extends beyond physical space, seeping into the emotional realm. They might overshare personal details, burdening you with their problems and expecting emotional support you're not prepared to give. They might pry into your personal affairs, asking intrusive questions about your relationships, finances, or health, leaving you feeling exposed and vulnerable. The key to dealing with boundary blurs lies in establishing clear, firm boundaries early on. Politeness doesn't require you to sacrifice your personal space and time. A simple, "I appreciate the thought, but I prefer to handle this myself," can be surprisingly effective. You can also be more direct, stating clearly, "I'm not comfortable with you dropping by unannounced. Please call before you come over." It's important to remember that setting boundaries is not about being rude. It's about protecting your well-being. Your retirement is your time. It's a time to reclaim your autonomy and prioritize your own needs and desires. Don't let boundary blurs erode the hard-earned peace and tranquility of your golden years. Protect it fiercely. Number 2, the constant complainer. We all have bad days. It's a natural part of the human experience. A flat tire, a spilled cup of coffee, a disagreement with a loved one. These minor setbacks are simply bumps in the road of life. We acknowledge them, we deal with them, and we move on. But for the constant complainer, these everyday occurrences aren't just bumps. They're insurmountable mountains of misery. They live in a perpetual state of negativity, where every aspect of their existence, from the weather to the grocery store lines, is a source of unending grievance. Spending time with them is like entering a vortex of negativity, leaving you feeling emotionally drained, pessimistic, and questioning your own sense of well-being. Imagine a beautiful sunny morning. You're sipping your coffee, enjoying the birdsong, and anticipating a day of leisurely pursuits. You run into a constant complainer, and suddenly, the sunshine seems less bright, the birdsong less cheerful. They launch into a litany of complaints. Their back aches, their coffee is too weak, the newspaper didn't arrive on time, the neighbor's dog barked all night. The list is endless, a never-ending stream of negativity that threatens to drown out any semblance of positivity. They rarely offer solutions, preferring instead to wallow in their misery and, often unintentionally, drag you down with them. They're not looking for answers, they're seeking validation for their unhappiness, a captive audience for their grievances. Consider Frank, a retired engineer who relishes his morning coffee ritual at the local diner. He enjoys the friendly banter, the comforting aroma of freshly brewed coffee, and the sense of community. However, he often finds himself sitting near a group of retirees who have transformed their morning gathering into a complaint session. They dissect every aspect of the diner experience, from the temperature of the coffee to the quality of the service, their voices laced with dissatisfaction. They complain about the government, the economy, the traffic. Nothing escapes their critical gaze. Frank, who once looked forward to his morning coffee, finds himself leaving the diner feeling more stressed than relaxed, his own positive outlook tainted by their negativity. Or picture Margaret, a retired teacher who loves spending her afternoons tending her garden. It's her sanctuary, a place of peace and tranquility. However, her neighbor, a constant complainer, has a habit of leaning over the fence, interrupting Margaret's peaceful gardening with a barrage of complaints. She complains about the weeds in her own garden, never mind that she rarely tends to it, the noise from the street, the heat, the humidity. Nothing is ever right. Margaret finds herself dreading her neighbor's appearances. Her once beloved garden now associated with negativity and stress. Protecting your peace in retirement means recognizing and limiting your exposure to this constant negativity. While empathy is important, and offering a listening ear to a friend in genuine need is a valuable act of kindness, you're not obligated to absorb someone else's unending negativity. You have the right to protect your own emotional well-being. Politely steering conversations towards more positive topics can be a gentle way to redirect the negativity. You can ask about their grandchildren, a recent trip, or a hobby they enjoy. If the complaining persists, excusing yourself from the conversation is a perfectly acceptable response. A simple, "Excuse me, I need to make a phone call," or "I have an appointment I need to get to," can allow you to gracefully disengage without being confrontational. Remember, your mental well-being is paramount, especially in retirement. You've earned the right to enjoy your golden years, free from the burden of other people's negativity. Don't let the constant complainers dim the sunshine of your retirement. Protect your peace, cultivate positivity, and surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you. Number 3, the guilt tripper. These individuals are masters of emotional manipulation, experts at pulling your heartstrings and playing on your sense of obligation. They rarely make direct requests, preferring instead to operate in the shadows of suggestion and implication. They're the puppeteers of guilt, skillfully manipulating your emotions to get what they want, often leaving you feeling resentful and depleted. They might sigh dramatically, their shoulders slumping with a world weariness that silently screams for assistance. They might make passive-aggressive comments, cloaked in a veneer of helplessness, designed to prick your conscience and nudge you towards offering help. Or they might recount past favors, reminding you of times they've helped you, subtly implying that you now owe them a debt of gratitude, payable in the currency of your time and energy. Think of Eleanor, a retired teacher who finally has the time to pursue her passion for animal welfare. She spends her days volunteering at the local animal shelter, finding immense joy in caring for the abandoned creatures. Her days are filled with the comforting purrs of contented cats and the grateful licks of rescued dogs. This is her sanctuary, her way of giving back, a source of immense fulfillment. However, her daughter, a master of the guilt trip, frequently calls, painting vivid pictures of her own overwhelmed state. She doesn't directly ask Eleanor for help, but her complaints about the never-ending demands of motherhood, the chaotic household, the lack of personal time, all carry an unspoken plea for assistance. Eleanor, a loving mother and grandmother, finds herself increasingly burdened by guilt. She starts cutting back on her volunteering, sacrificing her own happiness and fulfillment to appease her daughter's unspoken demands. She feels resentful, torn between her desire to help her daughter and her need to nurture her own well-being. The joy she once found at the animal shelter is now overshadowed by a nagging sense of obligation. Or consider Robert, a retired carpenter who finally has the time to restore his vintage car, a project he's dreamt of for years. He spends hours in his garage, meticulously sanding, polishing, and rebuilding the classic vehicle. This is his passion, his escape, a tangible connection to his younger self. His brother, however, a seasoned guilt tripper, frequently drops by, lamenting his own lack of handyman skills. He never directly asks Robert for help with his endless list of home repairs, but his comments about leaky faucets, creaky doors, and unfinished projects are strategically designed to elicit Robert's assistance. Robert, feeling obligated to help his brother, finds himself increasingly drawn away from his own cherished project. His dream of restoring the vintage car is slowly fading, replaced by the tedious tasks of fixing his brother's leaky pipes and squeaky hinges. The key to dealing with guilt trippers lies in recognizing their tactics and establishing firm boundaries. Understand that guilt is a powerful tool of manipulation, and you have the right to say no without feeling bad. You are not responsible for other people's happiness or their perceived burdens. Your retirement is your time, a time to prioritize your own needs and desires. Don't let others dictate how you spend your precious time and energy. Direct communication is crucial. Instead of succumbing to the unspoken pressures, address the issue head-on. When a guilt tripper starts their subtle manipulations, politely but firmly state your boundaries. You can say something like, "I understand you're feeling overwhelmed, but I'm not able to help right now. I have prior commitments." Or, "I appreciate you thinking of me, but I'm focusing on my own projects at the moment." It's important to remember that setting boundaries is not selfish. It's an act of self-preservation. It's about protecting your time, your energy, and your emotional well-being. Don't let the guilt trippers steal the joy of your retirement. Protect your peace, prioritize your happiness, and reclaim your right to say no without guilt. Number 4. The drama magnet. These individuals thrive on chaos and conflict. They are the eye of the hurricane, perpetually surrounded by a swirling vortex of drama. They seem to attract turmoil like moths to a flame, and often, unintentionally or not, they pull others into their chaotic orbit. They might exaggerate minor issues, blowing them out of proportion until they resemble Shakespearean tragedies. They might manufacture conflict where none exists, stirring the pot of interpersonal relationships with a mischievous glee. Or they might constantly seek validation for their perceived victimhood, casting themselves as the innocent sufferers in a world determined to persecute them. Spending time with a drama magnet is like walking through a minefield of emotional outbursts, unexpected crises, and exhausting interpersonal conflicts. You find yourself constantly on edge, anticipating the next explosion, bracing for the next wave of drama. Imagine George, a retired firefighter who relishes the quiet solitude of his evenings at home. He enjoys reading by the fireplace, listening to jazz records, and simply savoring the peace and tranquility he works so hard to achieve. His neighbor, however, a self-proclaimed drama magnet, frequently knocks on his door, shattering the serenity with tales of neighborhood feuds, family disputes, and other dramatic events. She recounts these stories with an exaggerated flair, her voice rising and falling with the intensity of a seasoned actress. George, a kind and empathetic soul, initially tries to offer advice and support. But he soon realizes that his neighbor isn't looking for solutions. She's seeking an audience for her dramatic performances. He finds himself getting increasingly pulled into these situations, mediating disputes, offering unsolicited counsel, and becoming entangled in the tangled web of his neighbor's chaotic life. His peaceful retirement is disrupted by the constant influx of drama, leaving him feeling drained and exasperated. Or picture Maria, a retired nurse who loves spending her afternoons at the local community center, playing bridge with her friends. It's a time for laughter, camaraderie, and friendly competition. However, one of the bridge players, a notorious drama magnet, frequently disrupts the game with tales of her latest personal crisis. She might complain about a perceived slight from another player, accuse someone of cheating, or launch into a dramatic monologue about her health problems. The bridge game, once a source of enjoyment and relaxation, becomes a tense and uncomfortable affair. Maria and her friends find themselves walking on eggshells, dreading the next outburst, the next eruption of drama. Consider David, a retired teacher who enjoys his morning walks in the park. He cherishes the fresh air, the gentle exercise, and the opportunity to connect with nature. However, he often encounters a fellow park-goer, a drama magnet, who seems to attract conflict like a magnet attracts iron filings. He might get into heated arguments with other walkers about the proper etiquette for sharing the path, complain loudly about the condition of the park benches, or even engage in dramatic confrontations with dog owners about leash laws. David's peaceful morning walks are frequently disrupted by these outbursts, leaving him feeling anxious and on edge. The tranquility of the park is shattered by the constant presence of drama, transforming his once serene escape into a source of stress and frustration. Protecting your peace in retirement requires recognizing and distancing yourself from these drama magnets. You are not obligated to mediate disputes, offer unsolicited advice, or become entangled in other people's chaotic lives. Your retirement is your time, a time to prioritize your own well-being and cultivate a peaceful and positive environment for yourself. Politely but firmly decline invitations to gossip or intervene in conflicts. A simple, "I'm sorry, but I'd rather not get involved," can be a surprisingly effective way to disengage from the drama. If the drama magnet persists, you can excuse yourself from the conversation, saying something like, "I need to get going," or "I have another appointment." Remember, you have the right to protect your own emotional space. You don't have to be a captive audience for other people's dramas. Focus on creating a positive and supportive social circle. Surround yourself with people who uplift and inspire you, people who value peace and harmony. Your retirement is a precious time, a time to savor the simple joys of life, free from the burden of other people's drama. Don't let the drama magnet steal the serenity of your golden years. Protect your peace, cultivate positivity, and enjoy the tranquility you've earned. Retirement should be a time of joy, relaxation, and personal fulfillment. By recognizing and navigating these 4 personality types, you can protect your well-being and ensure your golden years are truly golden. Remember, setting boundaries and prioritizing your own happiness is not selfish. It's essential for a fulfilling retirement. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment below sharing your experiences and insights. Your thoughts are valuable to us in our community. If you found this video helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel to support us and receive notifications, and don't forget to click the bell icon so you don't miss out on the latest tips on life after 60, all for free. Share this video with anyone who might find it useful too. We'll see you in the next video.